Hello, everybody. I am Ugo Biggeri, the regional representative for Europe for Global Alliance for Banking on Values. We are just waiting one more minute to start, but we have already our speaker with us and already some participants have joined. I opened the session by explaining the reason of this session. We are, is the 15th anniversary of Global Alliance for Banking on Values. And it's 15 years that the banks that are associated member of the Global Alliance, they are learning each other and showing to the world how they are transforming lives and they are transforming the way we do banking. And so we organize since many years values days on banking in this part of the year. And so this year we decide to organize some online seminar, and we will have in all the region of the world. So today we have in Europe, but there are also in the North America, South America, and Asia and Pacific. So today we will discuss together how the transforming the way we do banking, we can transform life. And it's something quite significant because probably not all the people know how much is important banking, because banking are really the accelerator of our economy. With the disbursing of loans, they facilitate the development of new economic activities. And if these economic activities are in favor or have a positive impact on social and environment, or a negative impact, it depends also on the choices and on the policies that the bank have, and so how they use the savings of the citizens. I invite now to the I just explain you who are the the speakers we will have in this hour of seminar. And we have Colin Five. He's the CEO of Unity Trust Bank in the UK since this year. He has led the financial service firms for 10 years, doing the CEO in other entities. And he will be our first speaker. Then we will have Pauline Bieriga, which is managing director of Triodos Bank in the UK, and she's since 2020, and she has studied both in the Netherlands and the United States. And then we have Panagiotis Tournavitis, which is the CEO of Cooperative Bank of Karditsa, and in Greece. And is also the vice president of FEBEA, which is another network based just in Europe of ethic and alternative banks. So I will start the session by asking questions to all of our three speakers, and I will give the floor firstly to Colin Five. And the question is, how has your organization been transforming banking and lives in our country and wider region? And to be more precise, I will also then make questions for Colin and Pauline and Panos. But so the question for everybody is, again, how has your organization been transforming banking and lives in your country and wider region? And for Colin, what I asked him to come on the screen, I will ask, Unity Trust use banking to improve the lives of UK communities. Your purpose is to help to create a better society, not simply maximize profit. And one of the key areas of your focus is on affordable housing. Could you share what is Unity Trust Bank is doing to facilitate access to decent housing and how it's transforming lives? So please, Colin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hugo, and good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know Unity Trust Bank, let me just explain a little bit about our organisation. This year we are 40 years old, and 40 years ago in 1984, a group of trade unions got together and said we should start a bank. But not any old bank, a bank that is fully focused on positive social impact. And that has been the mantra for the last 40 years. And in fact, it is embedded within our rules of our organisation, our articles of association. So therefore, at Unity, the making a difference and transforming people's lives has been part and parcel of our 40-year journey. We talk about our double bottom line strategy, our strategy to be a sustainable commercial bank and equally to deliver positive social impact. Our shareholders firmly believe that social purpose and financial outcomes are equally important. And I can say as the chief executive, that is a great culture to be able to work in and to support individuals within our local communities. In terms of transforming lives, maybe start from a perspective of we have been pioneers in establishing the highest ethical standards. The fair tax standard was one of the areas which we wanted to demonstrate that in. The first bank to demonstrate the living wage, but not only in our own organisation, in terms of our supply chain, and also in terms of our customers. We therefore look upon every opportunity to determine an impact assessment. And up and across the areas of the United Kingdom, we have relationship managers who are looking for opportunities to support that local community social impact. The transformation of people's lives comes from the everyday deals that we undertake, lending to support social housing, lending to support healthcare, lending to support charities, lending to support educational establishments, lending to support environmental organisations. And therefore, I've got a growing range of clients across the United Kingdom who are feeling that positive benefit, who are feeling the ability to transform not only their business and their own lives, but the lives of people within their local communities. That is only going to continue to grow and flourish at Unity Trust because of how far it is embedded within our values, and because in essence that is our difference in a crowded banking sector in the UK. We feel that we have got an opportunity to grow that impact, and Hugo mentioned that one of the ways we do it is through social housing. It's been about 10 years since we started in the social housing sector. We've lent more than £250 million. Last year, we supported 1,200 people into social housing, and we use the ABC classification from Impact Frontier. I get the opportunity, and I'm very privileged to go and see our customers who provide social housing. And when we are looking for, as part of the C definition, specific disadvantaged and vulnerable people, I had the opportunity to go to a facility that was created by one of our customers for people who were finishing their journey through addiction, and were getting to the opportunity to move past those times. That was a heartwarming opportunity to be able to see that level of social housing is so much still in need. We also look at housing associations, where we not only do we supply the lending to support new housing developments, but also environmentally we support the retrofit of properties across the UK. And finally, we also support market value housing, but where it is more of a specialist nature. So, for example, student housing in the UK or care homes in the UK are certainly both growth areas. So that level of affordable housing has been really important to us. It's really important to our communities, and we plan to continue that in our years ahead.
Thank you very much, Colin. And yeah, I have made a little mistake, but how do you think? Can you answer just in 2 minutes? If you want to, you should say how your bank has your bank been transforming banking and lives in your communities?
Yeah, I guess, Hugo, what we have been doing is supporting all of those sectors. And my last example of social housing, I come across many customers in the UK where we have helped them to house individuals who would have struggled to achieve that level of accommodation. We've various individuals at parts of their life who are not able to afford market rent properties or market value properties, and therefore increasingly, whilst housing is a particular challenge in the UK, we are supporting more and more people across the UK.
Thank you very much, Colin. I will do the same questions to Paulina. Paulina, at least the initial question, to the short answer, to have a very short answer on how has your bank been transforming banking and lives in your community? And we are talking, of course, about Triodos Bank in the Netherlands, and not just in the Netherlands, as we know.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Hugo. And before I start, I would like to congratulate GABV with the 15th anniversary. And I'm congratulating Triodos Bank as well, because Triodos was one of the founders of GABV. But Triodos Bank itself was founded in 1980 as an alternative to mainstream banks. And what I mean by mainstream banks is that the focus is on risk and return. Whereas at Triodos, when we started, we wanted to include impact. And by impact, I don't only mean environmental, although that's something that usually people associate Triodos Bank with, but it's also social impact. So we consider ourselves as an accelerator for change and a front runner in many different areas. For instance, well, I joined Triodos Bank 4 years ago, but I've been a member of the community for 30 years because I worked at a commercial bank, and at that time, Triodos Bank was the first one working on clean and financing clean energy, wind energy, so that's something that people associate us with, but the social aspect is just as important. We focus on the transformative power of money. It was already mentioned by you. and to improve the quality of life for everyone, and not just man, but also nature. Well, I'm focusing in the Netherlands, obviously, but we have offices in several countries in Europe. That's the banking side of Triodos Bank. About 30 years ago, we started with investment funds, and there we are active worldwide. And also in that area, we're a front runner in microfinance. And transforming life on a personal note, Triodos has really transformed my life, and not just since 4 years ago, but since 30 years ago. I consider myself as a member of the Triodos community with a clear mission in life.
Thank you. Thank you also for sharing this personal feeling that you have. And I will ask also in a few minutes to 3 minutes to Panagiotis Tournavis from Karditsa. How has your bank been transforming banking and lives in your communities? And in this case, I know you are very focused in a particular region of Greece, and you really make the difference for the people there, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Hugo. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your kind words. It is a real privilege to join you on this year's Banking on Values Day, a day when we come together to celebrate the power of value-based banking. I'm really honored to represent Cooperative Bank of Greece, a bank in which I've served since 2008, a bank with deep roots in our community and a strong commitment to transformative change. Bank of Karditsa was founded 30 years ago in the principles of cooperation, inclusion, and support for the community. In a region, as you say, Hugo, where traditional banking has often fallen short, we saw an opportunity and also responsibility to do banking differently. Our focus is not on maximizing profits, but on maximizing positive impact, and every decision we make is measured by its potential to improve the life of our members, empower local entrepreneurs, and stimulate sustainable development. Apart from being members of GABV, we are also members of FEBEA, of course, a European Microfinance Network and Microfinance Center. So today we proudly serve our more than 16,000 members who stand with us in our mission and vision, with assets exceeding 250 million euros. We have 6 branches throughout our region, and our reach has expanded significantly over the last decade, a decade marked by extraordinary challenges. We have witnessed a prolonged financial crisis that stretched for over 10 years in Greece. We navigated a global pandemic, responded to major natural disasters, the devastating floods in 2020 and 2023 in our region. And through it all, we emerged stronger by remaining true to our mission, to serve our local community and prioritize social impact over profit. This commitment has enabled us not only survive, but I would say thrive in the face of adversity. We are one of the few banks in Greece that constantly, for the last 30 years, we have positive credit rate expansion, and even the harshest years, we keep that this positive rate. And this expansion in our loan portfolio, we must understand that there are loans disbursed primarily to very small enterprises, small entrepreneurs. We have helped create hundreds of jobs, strengthened both our community and the local economy. So our commitment to ethical finance is also reflected in the fact that over 20% of our loan portfolio is dedicated to sustainable projects, from renewable energy to eco-friendly and smart agriculture. And this approach demonstrates that the bank can and should be an agent of positive change. And we are trying to daily prove that value-driven banking is not only possible, but it is essential.
Thank you very much. And yeah, we all remember that it's quite astonishing to grow in portfolio loan and giving credit in Greece in the last 10 years, because we all remember the critical financial situation that you had in Greece 10 years ago. So I will go back to Pauline, and I will make a question for you. As you have already said, Triodos Bank is a leading expert in sustainable banking in Europe since 1980. And the headquarters is in the Netherlands, but then you have branches in Belgium, UK, Spain, and Germany. And you were one of the first banks to invest in renewable energy, especially after the Chernobyl disaster in 1987. So you have been always promoting clean energy, and you have been named as the most active clean energy lead arranger for eighth time. What is the approach that Triodos Bank uses to finance green energy, and how this approach is transforming lives? So the floor is up to you. You have to unmute your phone, and you have 10 minutes maximum, please.
Thank you. 10 minutes maximum. Yeah, I can go on forever because we're very proud of the achievements in the clean energy sector. But as I said, it's not the only thing we do, although it's one of the main sectors that we focus on. I think we can be very proud of the fact that we have built up a lot of expertise. We started with wind energy. Wind energy has become a commodity. So that's I mean, it's not interesting for us anymore because the mainstream banks have taken over this role, and they can do it in a cheaper way. So what we then did is we focused on solar. And from solar, same storage, same story. Now we're focusing more on innovative activities in the clean energy sector, like storage and batteries. So we usually, or that's how we started with clean energy. We finance projects that mainstream banks are still often find too complicated to do. And I think they use us also a little bit as an example for them. Build on the expertise that we have. We can maybe take a little bit more risk, and in order to do that, we also focus on smaller projects. We have a very good portfolio, so then it's actually also we can maybe finance projects that look a bit riskier, build on the expertise that we have. It's we have two types of activities. We have the banking side. As you mentioned, Ugo, we're active in a couple of countries in Europe. We closely cooperate with the colleagues in the other branches, but we also closely cooperate with other banks, but also with other financial institutions, and for instance, with the European Investment Bank and the likes in the Netherlands. So that's on the banking side. On the lending side, we always take the social impact into consideration. And I think a very nice example is a cooperation that we have with a company in the Netherlands that focuses on social housing. And on solar panels on for people living in social housing, where the people actually benefit immediately from the solar panels. So not via the social housing corporations, but directly. I think we're very proud of that achievement. And then we have, as I mentioned before, we have the Triodos Investment Management. Also there, we focus on clean energy projects in developing countries. That's another approach, because we don't have a local presence. So there we cooperate with banks, ideally with banks in the Global Alliance, but also with other banks and other local entities, in order to finance renewable or clean energy projects. So we're transforming lives not just in Europe, hopefully, but also in developing countries. And well, I mentioned it a couple of times, but I think the energy transition, that's my theory, is actually a social issue. So that's why it's very important for us as a red and green bank to also include the social aspects of energy projects.
Thank you very much, Pauline, and thank you for being perfect in timing. I will now ask to Panagiotis from Cooperative Bank of Karditsa. Your bank, the Bank of Karditsa, is deep rooted in the principle of social responsibility and community development. You have already almost 30 years, and the bank was founded with the primary goal of addressing the financial needs of the local population, so the people who live in Karditsa and in the region close by, and particularly focusing on small business and agriculture. Could you explain how Bank of Karditsa is promoting financial inclusion and social justice to address marginalized community? Could you provide an example? Please, the floor is yours, Panagiotis.
Thank you, Hugo, for the question. We at Cooperative Bank of Karditsa believe that financial inclusion and social justice are essential for building a resilient, fair, and prosperous community. So our approach is guided by the understanding that everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, deserves access to these tools and opportunities that financial services provide. And let me start by sharing a bit of how we promote financial inclusion. Financial inclusion for us means that not only offering products and services to, as you said, the marginalized groups, but also actively breaking down the barriers that prevent them from accessing these resources. One of the ways we achieve this is by designing tailored financial products specifically for small-sized enterprises, particularly those led by individuals from underrepresented or economically challenged backgrounds. For example, thanks to the support and cooperation we have with organizations like European Investment Fund, the Council of Europe Bank, and the Hellenic Development Bank, we can offer loans with lower interest rates, less collaterals, and flexible repayment terms, ensuring that local entrepreneurs have access to the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. And however, we all understand that financial resources alone are not enough. For us, financial literacy plays a very critical role in enabling people to make informed decisions about their finances. To address this, we also run workshops and community education programs, teaching essential skills in budgeting, saving, investment, and through these programs, which are designed to empower individuals with the knowledge they need to navigate financial challenges and seize economic opportunities as they arise. Our commitment to social justice goes hand in hand with these efforts. We aim to ensure that our services are accessible to everyone, including those who may face linguistic or cultural barriers. In recent years, Karditsa has become home to a growing number of refugees and migrants who certainly not speak Greek at all, not less they are not their primary language. So to address this, we translated our website and online banking services into also French and Arabic, making it easier for non-Greek speaking residents to access our services and financial information. We want everyone in our community to feel that they belong and they are supported by our local bank. And another example that I want to highlight our efforts in promoting financial inclusion and social justice is that we participated recently in an initiative called the Share Shira project, which focuses on supporting the integration of newly arrived refugees and migrants, particularly in rural areas of Europe. As part of this project, we went beyond language translation and implemented additional measures to improve accessibility. We have distributed QR codes. Hugo, you have seen this when you have visited Karditsa, across the Karditsa region in places where immigrants and refugees used to live. These posters link to essential banking information in multiple languages, providing an easy way for them to access resources and support without any language barriers. Through an initiative like Share Shira, we are not only facilitating financial access, but we also promote the social integration of marginalized groups. By helping newcomers feel supported and informed, we are actively working to build a stronger, more inclusive community. This kind of social justice work as fundamental to our mission because we believe that economic and social empowerment should go hand in hand. At Bank of Karditsa, we are committed to creating an environment where all community members, regardless of their background or circumstances, have the opportunity to thrive. We are proud to be more than a financial institution. We consider ourselves a partner in our community's journey towards inclusion, equality, and social justice.
Thank you very much. I remember everybody that you can make questions. I see one is already coming. Yes, I should say it's true that I visit Karditsa and I was impressed how it's rooted in the community. I'm now in Charity Bank in UK, and this week I will also visit the UK banks, and I should say that as a regional representative of European Global Alliance for Banking on Values banks, I always been surprised of how good are our banks. But now I have another questions for all of you, and so I will start again with Colin, and it's you have to keep short because we want to have time for questions. So just again 2 minutes to answer. Focusing on Europe, so on values-based banking in Europe, what do you think are the main challenges in the region that values-based bank can address? And so I will start. I know talking about challenges is always difficult, but I think it's important if we want really to manage to really change finance, and by changing finance, changing and transforming lives. So please, Colin.
Thank you, Hugo. I think the challenge which we all face, and is a new challenge to us all, is climate risk. We've been working in that, I'm sure, as individual banks, as in a sector, for many years. But we can see the changes and how they're impacting daily lives, daily communities, and it is becoming more stark across Europe and across the globe. Certainly in the UK, there's a big momentum in terms of how our individual households supported to provide or achieve a more energy efficient housing, which helps carbon emissions. But it's businesses where it is that little bit more challenging. And I believe that our values-based banks can be successful and support those business owners. It is about understanding where they are today and what their pathway is to a net zero emission. It may be that their commercial buildings can be retrofitted. It may be that their supplier base, their customers, can be worked with to ensure that they also reduce their emissions. And Additionally, it is about how we work together to make sure that those businesses are on the right track, and also that our security as banks is also protected. So it really is a win-win opportunity. And I think that the values-based banks are ideally positioned to be able to think beyond the financial impact of climate and think about the impact on people's lives, the impact on people's businesses and their communities. And therefore, certainly from Unity Trust Bank, this will increasingly become a focus in helping businesses to start and then move through that journey along to net zero.
Thank you very much. I think it was very good answer. And please, Pauline, the same question for you. Which are the challenges you see for the European environment about values-based banking?
Yeah, well, and I fully agree with Colin regarding his comments on climate risk. I would like to add to that climate denial, because that's something we also have to deal with, and that I see that as a huge task for us to not only create awareness of climate risk, but also retain this positive attitude towards sustainability. So that's my main concern. Another challenge is how do we prevent that sustainability becomes, or maybe stays, a luxury item. So my second challenge would be how do we take care that alternative sources of fuel, of non-fossil fuels will become available and accessible to everyone.
Thank you very much. And for you, Panagiotis, which is the challenge you think we are facing more?
Yes, thank you very much, Hugo, for this. It's very important. I think I agree with what Pauline and Colin already said. Climate risk is certainly a common denominator, but I would like to say that we in Greece face some distinct social and economic challenges. And I would say in general that they include economic inequality, limited access to finance for small enterprises, and the pressing need for sustainable development. And one of the main challenges in Greece for small enterprises is the limited access to capital. Greece has one of the most concentrated banking sector across Europe. Only 4 banks, they have more than 96% of total market share. So these traditional banks often focus on larger urban-based enterprises, leaving smaller businesses struggling to secure funding. So we, banks, value-based banks, we can help bridge this gap by tailoring the financial products to meet the specific needs of these enterprises. Another specific challenge that we face in Greece is the issue of economic inequality. Many people are excluded from the financial system, whether due to geographical limitation, language barrier, or economic hardships. So we, for example, seek to include everyone by offering accessible financial services. And this is why we don't only provide banking services, but also financial literacy programs, enabling people to make informed financial decisions. So this approach goes certainly beyond transactions. We want to empower individuals and communities. And from what Pauline and Colin already said, common denominator is environmental challenges. We have faced it twice in the last 3 years, and we know that our economy and our future depend on sustainable practices. Value-based banking in Greece has the potential to support the green transition by prioritizing investment in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, eco-friendly projects. And for example, this is why in our bank, over 20% of our loan portfolio is dedicated to sustainable initiatives. By supporting green projects, I think that we, the GABV members, can lead the way towards a sustainable economy and help our communities become more resilient in the face of environmental challenges.
Thank you very much. Now, as you know, we have still 20 minutes to go, and we have some questions. We have one for Pauline from Triodos Bank, from Krzysztof Kwiecinski. I hope I pronounce properly. And the question is, what do you see as the key barriers to growing your impact? Extend your service to larger community of users. So which are the barriers you see, Pauline, to grow in your impact and to serve more people? And then there is a question to all, but I will ask you to, Pauline, to answer shortly to this before. Is Pauline no more there? Okay, I will go with the other question.
I'm there.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah. I forgot to unmute. So yeah, very good question. You know, we're a very small, relatively small bank, although we've grown substantially in the past 45 years. But we cannot do it by ourselves. So we need cooperation with other banks. And I sometimes say, you know, we have a relatively small balance sheet. So how can we make more impact? Not maybe by expanding our balance sheet, but by promoting the mission that we have, and promoting the mission of every value-based bank. So be an ambassador for value-based banking. And that's, for instance, why we're also a member of the Sustainable Finance Lab. So we use that as an accelerator. So that's the way that we can create most impact, I believe. So not just doing it by ourselves, but helping others, learning from others, but also telling others how to do it. I think that's how we can extend our services the best. And we cannot facilitate everyone. For instance, what Colin said about social housing, we cannot provide service for all the tenants or for the social housing corporations. But of course, we can finance, and that's what we do. We finance companies that help, for instance, tenants of social housing institutions or in the healthcare sector. So that's also one way to accelerate and expand our services.
Thank you very much. And then I have a question for all, and it is, as Pauline said, Triodos has been one of the front runners in terms of financing renewable energy projects that are seen as being more risky or innovative or smaller projects that the big banks might see as not profitable enough. Do you at all see a role for the big commercial banks in the world, who usually are not as value-based driven as the banks on this call? So there is a role for the big bank to finance an energy transition that is truly just or inclusive, or they are too far from values. And I will ask to start first, because you just talk now, Pauline. I will ask to start with the Panagiotis, and then Colin, and then you, Pauline.
Perfect.
So short answer, the question is, do you think banks, big traditional banks, could really do a finance energy transition which is truly just and inclusive?
I think that the optics from the angle from which the big banks examine all these projects are through the lens of profit. So we have seen this when we took decision whether to finance energy communities in Greece, where the big banks were not eager to finance, or to finance small farmers to install photovoltaic panels in their crops to help them reduce their energy costs. So I think that the banks of our size, they can certainly finance smaller projects that are more inclusive and they have more social impacts, while the bigger banks, they finance very big projects, but their social impact is less evident, but the profitability of the project is much greater. And of course, the economic scale of the project is much greater.
Colin, which is your opinion? Then we have other questions, so we will be prepared. We have, our participants are asking a lot. So please, Colin.
Sugo, in the UK, we are seeing some of the largest banks who are trying to move into more of the value-based banking space. They're certainly putting up a good front in terms of how they do that. And one of the largest banks in the UK has just looked to start in one of the microfinancing areas within the UK. But it is challenging for them to sustain that, because when you are focused on maximizing profit, you are distracted by those quarterly shareholder and stock market meetings, which look to drive you towards the maximum profits. So I think there is some desire for those larger organizations to move in our direction. But I think we have got an advantage in the ways that it is embedded in our culture and purpose, and also in the fact that we are more balanced in terms of our the areas of focus for our organizations.
Thank you very much. We have other questions. One.
Hugo, can I ask?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, because
sorry.
I think I have a slightly deviating opinion. I think we need those big banks, and that's what we have seen in the past decades. In wind energy, in solar energy, they're the ones that will finance the big projects for us, and that's why I mean, if we want to become less dependent on fossil fuel, we need the big banks. So I'm very happy to work with them, as long as they don't contradict our values. But as I mentioned before, we cooperate with big banks, and maybe they're not as values-based as we are, but they see it as an opportunity, which is not a bad idea, because that's something that I also would like to emphasize. That I mean that's what we try to accomplish, that the whole energy transition is seen in a positive way, and it can be an opportunity and profitable for big banks.
Yeah, it's interesting point of view. You say at the end of the day we need also they do some change, otherwise the change will not arrive.
Exactly.
So it's a typical ethical dilemma, how to relate to have a collaboration or a confrontation with this mainstream bank. We have at least other two questions. One is for Panos, and so I ask you to be short on that. But the question for Panos, which the former one was a question from someone from Banktrack, and this one is from someone of Libya, And the question is, I guess you are aimed at growing your bank activities and at the same time keeping very close to the community's needs you aim to serving. Do you plan to keep the balance between these two aspects, so growing and being rooted in the community? So this is the question to Panos. Please, Panos.
So it's a difficult question, but certainly in our bank, we are deeply committed to balancing growth with our dedication to meet the community needs. So our approach, I would say, is simple, yet profound. We grow by listening. Our expansion efforts are focused on initiatives that directly benefit local people and businesses. We offer our products which are specifically designed to meet the needs of the unique economic landscape that we have in our region. We collaborate with the local organization. We gather community feedback to ensure our services remain relevant and impactful. And through, I would say, partnership, stakeholder engagement, continuous improvement, we aim to scale responsibly, always putting our communities first.
Thank you very much. This I noticed growth by listening or growth by having feedback. So that's quite an interesting point. So there is a question for everybody, and is coming from GABV and someone from GABV. And what role, if any, can politics and politicians play to help values-based bank deliver more transformative change? So let's start now with Colin, and then Pauline, and then Panagiotis. Please, Colin.
Thanks, Hugo. I think there's two things on my mind that politicians can achieve. First of all, I think engaging more with organisations like the three that we're talking about today, and not assuming that perhaps our lower scale will restrict the drive that we can bring to the issues or the communities which we operate. And secondly, and I'll expand the word politicians to include regulators. I think there's an opportunity to be proportionate with our organisations. We are typically got a risk appetite which is not aggressive. We are typically looking to support and finance businesses and individuals who are delivering good, strong impact. And therefore, I think our politicians and regulators can be proportionate in terms of their oversight of our businesses, and I guess linked to the risk appetite that we bring to the UK and to the rest of Europe.
Thank you. And then Pauline, what is his opinion about what politics and politicians could do for helping the transformative change of values-based bank?
Yeah, but in addition to what Colin just said, I think it's important to tell politicians what we do and why we do it, and also convince them that they have to convince the electorate that we're facing a climate risk. I mentioned it before, climate denial. I mean, in the Netherlands, that's a big issue at the moment. How do we retain this awareness of climate risk? So there, politicians can definitely play a role. And of course, we have a lot of fans in the Netherlands, more on the left side of the political spectrum. But as in other countries, on the right-hand side, it's more difficult to convince people. So yeah, politicians can definitely or do definitely play a major role in shaping the public opinion. And at Triodos, we always say we not only finance change, but we also want to change finance. And increasingly, I have the idea that we're also there to change public opinion, and that politicians can help us.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. I think, I personally think we need also the politician to do something. We're not just expect that the change will come just from some values-based bank or citizen. But let's hear what also Panagiotis has, the thought of Panagiotis around these issues.
Yeah, from my point of view, I think that the politicians, they can do more things. First of all, they have to shape a supportive environment for ethical banking by crafting policies, incentivize sustainable investments and social entrepreneurship, things like that. The second thing is by providing access to public funds, guarantees that would allow value-based banks to reach more underserved groups and small businesses, amplifying the economic and social influence they have. The third very important thing is that we could also raise public awarenesses, encouraging citizens to support ethical banking. And lastly, I think that they can play a significant role to fostering collaboration between banks, government, and communities, and forming a powerful network that can drive this community-centered change.
Thank you very much. We have just very few minutes, but we have another question for Pauline, always from Christoph, who asked to Pauline, which of the big banks would you see as genuinely interested in advancing in sustainable transition? That's a very difficult question, I think. And if that will be limited to sustainable transition of companies or also of some progressive retail banks. Well, the second part, I think you already answered, Pauline, but if you want to comment to this question, please.
Well, yeah, thank you for the question, Christoph. And I think the most evident one is the European Investment Bank, which is, of course, very eager to engage in the energy transition and anything related to sustainability. So very happy to work together with them. But for instance, in the Netherlands, we also have public investment funds like InvestNL and Invest International, also totally focused on the on transformation and the energy transition, but also the commercial banks. So I'm not going to mention any names, but I think we can work together with all the major banks in the Netherlands, and there's also a couple of international banks active in the Netherlands who are willing and eager to engage in the financing of the energy transition.
Okay, a very last question to all of you. So just how do you see the future? You feel optimist or pessimist about the trends that we are having? Of course, there is a lot of shadows. Right-wing politician, Trump, negationist of the climate change. You see all this just as a risk, or you see there some opportunity? So we have just 1 minute left, so be very short. Pauline, you can start.
Yeah, and apologies for sitting in the dark, which is not my mood because I'm an optimist by nature. So hopefully we can make GABV superfluous in the future, because then everything is based on value-based banking. But I see a lot of opportunities, and I think it's our task to also convey this message to the world, that the transition that we're in is a positive one, and will be good for everyone.
Okay, and Colin, or yes, Colin.
Always optimistic, Hugo, and I guess there are so many needs out there in the world that we are absolutely needed as organisations. We need to develop the next layer and the future generations of value-based bankers, and make sure that that is a choice that is very positively made by individuals wanting to join our sector to do good. So optimistic that that can grow in the future.
And Panagiotis, are you optimistic or pessimistic?
Of course, I am always optimistic. And I believe that at the end, we will not only finance change, but it will change finance, Pauline has already mentioned. And if we abide to our mission and we stay focused on the reasons why our banks were formed and stay close to our communities, I see that there is a bright future for value-based banking.
Thank you very much to all three of you. And of course, it's not surprising that you are optimists. I think that in the idea of values-based banking, it's embedded a little bit of optimism to change the world in a positive way. So no wonder that the CEOs and even the co-worker and the customers of the values-based bank I think they are optimists. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for GABV for organizing this. Happy anniversary for the 15th anniversary of GABV, and thank you to all the people who were with us in this hour of discussion together. Thank you very much.